We keep hearing a lot about the use of peat in gardening and horticulture and peat free, and I see a lot of things written by people, some great advocates of peat free, some saying all peat free compost is rubbish, and I guess as is with everything, sometimes the truth's somewhere in the middle. From my perspective, the two national collections I've done are now done with peat free compost. But I thought what would be useful was to show you some of the different products, I guess, that are available, to show you that actually, some can be quite rubbish and you wouldn't want to certainly sow any seeds in it. But I think we need to be more discerning about what kind of compost we're buying and actually what we're using it for, because while some may not be useful for sowing seeds, it certainly could be used as a garden mulch. And I think perhaps we've been spoilt with the use of peat in that essentially any general compost with peat has been good enough to sow seeds, to do cuttings, to pot on plants, to put on your bed, whereas now we need to perhaps pick and choose. So I thought you might be interested in seeing some of the various peat-free versions that I've got. This first one, it's called something called Supergrow. I got it from Homebase, dirt cheap, excuse the pun. It's you could get four 50-litre bags for £10, £2.50 a bag, and I think you can tell why. To be honest, you can probably make out already the huge twigs. I'm pretty convinced this is the byproduct of anaerobic digestion. So it's what's left, in the sense that when I got the bag, it felt really warm. It was almost like it was still cooking in the bag, which is why it's got almost this grey texture. And I've used this before, and the problem that I find with it is that after you put water on it, you water it in, it almost seems to set like concrete. So for me, I wouldn't necessarily advise sowing your seeds in it, but we're going to have a go with it anyway. So let's get the next one. Here we go. This is obviously has been watered in, because you have to put water on it to actually get it to work. It's coir. It came in a block. It's often pushed as a great alternative to using peat. It has its own environmental issues in the sense that we don't have any coconuts here, so the product, or indeed the byproduct, has to be shipped on diesel guzzling ships to this country. This one came in a 40-litre block. I picked it up at a bargain because we're selling them off at £1.50. But it's been shipped from Pakistan, so it has its own environmental issues. But again, you can see it looks, I guess, much more like the compost that we are used to, and I wouldn't have a problem having a go at sowing seeds in that. So we'll see with that one. Now, quickly, we're moving on to some home brand peat-free versions. This is a home brand from Wicks. I don't think this is too bad. It's got things like this in. It looks like it's maybe made from the byproduct of, wood or straw, but it looks like it's going to hold water well. Water retention is always an issue with compost, and it's certainly an issue when you change from using peat to peat-free. Your watering regime definitely changes. So I think some of the home brand versions I've used, Homebase home brand before. I've used B&Q, which again was hit and miss depending on which batch you got, and that's another issue. Batches seem to vary from batch to batch, so what I want in a compost is consistency. So, but this doesn't look too bad. Then we're going to move on to one that I know lots of people use, and I've seen criticism of it. This is New Horizon. Now, again, looks very strawy, maybe wood in there. When I sort of went through the bag, you could see clumps of coir, or it certainly looked like that sort of more orangey, reddy type look. It's got bits of grit in. Again, we're going to have a go with seeds. For me, that's probably more useful for potting on rather than seeds, but I wouldn't have a problem in using that. Now we're going to move on to some of my favourites, I guess my favourite company. This is Melcourt, and this is a pine grow bark. So essentially you can see again, it's the texture looks more like, I guess, the compost that we're quite used to. So we'll just see how the same seed in each of these compares. So yeah, we'll give that one a go. Then we'll hear about Melcourt Silvergrow. This is their what I'd call their bog standard product, that if you can get it in your garden centre, this is what you're going to get. Again, looks lovely, feels lovely. Again, the watering regime is different. It certainly doesn't hold water as well as peat would. Peat used to, say, because I don't use peat. But you know, you have to sort of factor that into how you grow. But more than happy to sow my seeds, more than happy to pot on into this. And then I think finally, one that I've used only this year, which I think is fast becoming a favourite, is the Melcourt version, but with added John Innes, which is also then peat free. It just feels great. I think my seeds are going to love being in here. So what does that tell us? Well, I'm not sure. From my perspective, it tells us that peat-free versions, they're very different ones that are on the market. So you can't say, you know, all peat-free is bad and worse than peat, because it isn't. If I can grow 2 national collections in it, then I think, you know, we can grow plants successfully in it. Are there peat-free versions that are poor? Yes, there are. Are there peat-free versions that are as good as, if not better? Yes. So, for example, this. You know, I'm going to just stick this in, and that just looks, you know, looks like a great compost, ready to put some seeds in. But with regards the ones that perhaps are, you know, have a bit more what I would call detritus in it, sticks and various bits that, because they're made from green waste, well, you know, perhaps we're going to have to change our methods, and we're going to have to, you know, do what we used to. We're going to have to get a riddle and shake the stuff and sort our compost out, because perhaps that's a price worth paying for not using peat. So from my perspective, I'm going to sew all these trays up with obviously hollyhocks. It's not time to do the cosmos yet, and we'll see how they fare in each of them. I've got my suspicions as to which ones will do better and which ones may struggle, but you know, I think there are peat-free alternatives out there. They're worth using, they're worth investigating, and they're worth giving a go if you haven't already.